Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Kiwanis Connects, coming to you live from the WWDB TV studios in the heart of Las Vegas. Apparently, John has not paid the light bill because the studio lights are not on to provide my normal glow here on the set, but that's okay. I'll put the 50 cents in later. Thank you for watching, everybody. Of course, you see on our screen, Doc Val is with us. We have another district trustee. I don't know what it is. We get all these highfalutin people, Val, but we love them all.
Absolutely. And I love being able to call them my friend and family. So it's just like I just call in all the favors.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Thank you for watching.
Call those guys in prison that
What
get
it?
special privileges.
Yeah.
Trustees.
Yeah. Oh, shut up, John. Thank you for watching us on Facebook. Hey, by the way, we now have an active YouTube channel. So go to Kiwanis Connects on YouTube. You can catch us there if you like using YouTube. The more places, the merrier. And of course, in about 5 days or so, check us out on the WWDB TV channel on Roku, R-O-K-U. If you don't have Roku, my question is why not? Because you get to see us anytime you want to, just like you can on Facebook or YouTube. If you want to call in and chat, 702-992-3207. We'd love to hear from you all. And as you can see, our Doc Val is out from under all the mud and the rain and the slush and the grime out there. Good to see you in a happy, smiling phase right now, Val.
Thank you. It's a window of about 12 hours. And so I'm taking advantage of it right now. And I know that in Southern California, they get hit pretty hard as well. Rex, how did it affect you down in SoCal? I think Rex is being affected right now.
Unfortunate because we didn't receive any flood damage. Yeah, but the weather here has been quite nice. We did get a lot of rain, but thank God we didn't receive any flooding, so everything's good.
Very cool, very cool. So Aaron,
Yes.
We just got a simple flash. We got 10 inches of rain in 36 hours.
Yikes.
Yeah.
What's the conversion of rain?
It takes us about 2.5 years.
That's true. What's the conversion of inches to snow? Like there's a conversion rate. So many inches equals so many feet of snow. I think if we got all that in snow, I think we'd be buried for about 3 months, right?
Yeah, just like Tahoe last year, right?
My goodness.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully everything is dried out enough so that when it rains the next time, it's not going to be flooding on top of flooding on top of flooding. But also all the wildfires you guys have had with all those trees that have been lost over the last number of years, that has not been a good thing to help absorb the rain. That's been creating some of the mudslides and stuff, right?
That's been creating the mudslides, and it's also been taking out our water systems as the trees come down the river. And so we're experiencing what we used to see in Thailand and the Philippines, the same kind of weather effect. That's what we're seeing out here. And so there are moments when, I wish I paid more attention because, I did the dumbest thing I could have ever done, which was I thought I could hike over a hill of rocks and get to the other side, and not realizing that hill of rocks was really mostly mud and rocks. So I ended up sinking to my hiney in the rocks. And if I hadn't had a guardian angel, I would have been buried in the next flow of rocks that came down after he pulled me out. And so this stuff is serious. And when they say, if you can't see the bottom, then don't drive through it. Don't drown, turn around, or something like that.
Cars don't float.
Cars don't float.
Yeah, we see that sign around here a lot when we get that torrential rain in certain areas of the valley. Billboards all over the place with the car that's like 3/4 submerged, and a sign reminds us all that cars don't float and be safe. So you're right. I mean, better be safe than sorry. But you know what? In certain situations, when you feel you're in dire need to do something, human nature takes over and, you try to do what you think you need to do.
Absolutely. Hubby was on the other side of the hill, right? And that's where I needed to be. And so I didn't think about anything other than dodging around the rocks and getting to my husband. So, yeah, he's worth it.
So I was going to say, so what you're saying is it's Andy's fault.
Yeah.
See?
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, Andy. Hope he's not
Andy.
listening yet. Why don't you formally introduce our guests and what we're going to talk about on today's Kiwanis Connects?
Oh my goodness. This is one of my closest friends. And so you're looking at a man who has influenced me in so many ways. This is Rex Ramsey. Rex is here because, we really need to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to talk about it now more than ever before. And Rex and I got into a lot of really good trouble last year.
Uh-oh.
And oh yeah. So Rex, I probably don't do you justice, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about you, and so that everybody out there knows who you are? Because I just want to call you future governor.
No pressure.
No pressure.
First of all, I apologize. Yeah. I apologize because my Wi-Fi connection is not good, so I didn't catch everything that you said. And so, I've had this real beautiful relationship develop with Dr. Val, with her being district governor and her running several years ago. And my history goes back with her years ago when I saw her speak at a district convention giving seminars. And I just loved her passion and said for children, connection to her. And I think it's just wonderful that we're on Kiwanis Connects because we connected. And it wasn't on a racial level. It was just on a person-to-person level because the potentials were amazing. And I just was, you get a sense about people when they have a passion for what they're doing. And what she had was something that was contagious. And I just wanted to be around her. That's how our friendship began.
I think that I have some of the most amazing people in my life. And so, Aaron, I include you and John in that amazing group. But one of the things that we talked about all the way through this loving relationship is that it's a family affair in Kiwanis. And sometimes people don't realize who all is connected to who. And so it's really cool to have Rex here because Rex is influencing policy at this point in time in our district. And he helped write a resolution that we passed in our district. And so we were the first district to pass it. But within hours, New York and a couple of the other districts picked it up and immediately ran with it. And it was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And most of the time when you use the word diversity in a sentence, people automatically start going, la, 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 la. It's like a bad word. They've heard it all over and over again. And then when they hear equity, it's like, you just raised the political flag. And it's like, okay. But when you talk about inclusion, and that's where we went to is inclusion, you're talking about one of the main preambles and one of the main Kiwanis objects, which is about every person having the opportunity to serve and be at the table. And so, oh my goodness, we have people from the Philippines popping in to watch us today, Rex.
Woo! We love the Filipino families.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, I'm going to have you ask a couple questions because I can babble.
And that's okay. And before I ask any questions, and I put this in
your point of
I put this comment in the chat room on Facebook, and for those watching us on YouTube, as you can tell, District Trustee Rex's feed from where he is, he's up in the mountain area with all the crazy weather, is wreaking havoc on his connection. So we ask for your patience. We know it's happening. It's coming from Rex's end because of where he is logistically. As you can tell, Val is fine. My feed is fine. Please be patient with Rex's feed as it catches up, okay?
It's not my fault.
Yeah, John paid the internet bill. We realize it's like watching the old Godzilla style movies, a couple of words and then, so folks, just be patient with that. So I just wanted to ask, because I may have met District Trustee Rex at a convention in August. Val, was he there?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I probably ran into him there, but I want to ask a little bit for those who don't know, and I don't know how many people from the Philippines know who you are, but if you can, very briefly, how long have you been in Kiwanis? What was your aha moment for you where you said, you know what, Kiwanis is the place for me to give back to my community, one child at a time?
Asking that question. My history with Kiwanis goes back to of 96, 90. And so I've been around for a few years. I'm a member of the Kiwanis Club de San Bernardino. And I happened to be at a African-American Chamber of Commerce mixer. And one of my fellow club members identified me and said he was going to be my mentor. His name was Lieutenant Colonel Marion Black. And he said, one of the first things that he told me, he says, Rex, you need to be in Kiwanis. I didn't know what Kiwanis was or who Kiwanis was, anything about Kiwanis. It was a mystery word to me. And he ended up inviting me to the club meetings. And because he was my mentor and he said I needed to be in it, I was obedient to Lieutenant Colonel Marion Black. And so that's how I began my Kiwanis membership. And know what I was in because the San Bernardino Club at that time had roughly about 100 members, and they were all members of Congress. They were the big attorneys and judges in the club. But after about 10 years, I started attending district conventions. And that's where I met Val. I was up in Sacramento. And that we could really, really impact children in literacy programs and scholarship programs beyond what I knew at my club level. And the aha moment was the opportunity to install what they called I think it was a reading room at a local elementary school. And that was just a wonderful experience. And that
Okay, Aaron's your sound is off.
I want to take a quick break because I want to see what we can do during the break. To be honest with everybody, our phone has been acting up a tad. So during the break, we want to test the phone real quickly. And this way, hopefully we can if it's working properly, then we can give Rex the phone number to call in. And then we'll just put a picture of his lovely, well, take a quick snapshot of that if you can. I don't know. We'll figure something out. All right. So we're going to go to break early. Please bear with us. Don't go anywhere because this topic today is very, very important. You're watching Kiwanis Connects. We'll be right back. Thanks to the efforts of the Cal Neva District of Kiwanis, there's been a Kiwanis presence in the Rose Bowl Parade for more than half of the New Year's Day Parade since 1921. In the past, our efforts were funded through club sponsorships, outside sponsorships, by the generous donations from Kiwanis members or club foundations sponsoring riders on the Kiwanis float itself. The District Rose Float Committee handles fundraising, and the Kiwanis Rose Float Club secures and organizes the volunteers. When Kiwanis International wanted to sponsor a large portion of our float, momentum from our clubs was lost due to any fundraising. The time has come to have our clubs increase their involvement in the fundraising efforts. But the Rose Float Kiwanis Club needs the help from all Kiwanis clubs, its members, and businesses to answer the call for support. Visit our Kiwanis Rose Float page on Facebook. Help make sure that Kiwanis International will let the world continue to smell the roses for a long time. Hi there. We're back. Wow. All right. So
we think we have Rex on the phone.
no, is Rex on the phone? Because that was me that dialed.
He called.
Oh, Rex, did you call? Can we hear you? Rex, can you hear us on the phone?
No, I didn't see a phone number or anything for me to call.
Oh, so okay.
Okay.
So
I did not get the number.
So we're going to
Okay.
put the number up on the screen right now. And then if you would, please.
Coming through okay now.
Well, all right. We're going to put the phone number up.
Okay.
There, that was me, John. 02-992-3207. You've got that there. We're going to put you off into the green space over there while you dial so that when you dial, you don't, there you go. Okay. So what John is referring to is the reason we saw me sprint back in. I went into the back office to dial the studio line to make sure it was connecting. John thought I was Rex. So I confused him. Even though I wasn't here, I was on the, anyway. So
We've got a lot of people that are dialing in today. I wasn't sure if you checked the Facebook matrix, but in the last 6 days, we've had 49,000 people connect into our Kiwanis Connects Facebook page.
wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment there, Lieutenant Governor of Division 7, on our commercial. We appreciate. By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. Those commercials are available for each and every club. We have three different size commercials, 30, 60, 90 seconds, and the prices for those are designed to keep this show on the air. You can customize it. We can edit the existing one. Plus, our prices allow for little money to then be donated to the Rose Float Kiwanis Club. So those are great branding tools, great things to use. Just email me at kiwanisconnectslv@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to get you information. I think we have Rex. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Woohoo! Jackpot. All right. So,
Well, shut up and let him talk.
well, we have to ask him a question first. All right. Sorry about all the technology, but at least we know that we have you there and our fans and folks are able to hear things out. All right. So I know I got a little bit of your background, Kiwanis 96, 97. You were at a networking group, and then a mentor came up to you. And I guess from there, you kind of started talking about Kiwanis.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah, and my mentor, Colonel Black, said, you need to be in Kiwanis. And so I started attending Kiwanis meetings. And for the first several years, I was in Kiwanis. Didn't know much about it. I thought it was a networking group. But over time, especially when I started attending mid-year and district conventions, I got a big picture of Kiwanis and started to really, really get involved because I love doing the service work and bringing smiles on children's faces and making an impact in my community. And in my community, there's a huge need for what we do for kids in Kiwanis.
So now we're talking, let's fast forward a little bit, Val, and let's talk about the diversity, equity, and inclusion part of all of this so we can get into the meat of the discussion. So if you would, let's share that concept and how Rex got involved with that and how the district is moving forward with that idea.
Well, you know, Kiwanis International had a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee. It was kind of like an ad hoc subcommittee that was put together, and they put out a survey. And in our district, only 400 people responded out of, at that point, 11,000 people as members. And the numbers were horrifying, absolutely horrifying, because everybody, you could tell a person's background without looking at their demographics by their response. Every person of color or every person that identifies differently from traditional Kiwanian, what we envision as a traditional Kiwanian, was rating things on one end of the scale, and their experience was on one end, that they didn't feel comfortable even inviting their friends and family into Kiwanis. And then other people were saying, we're all inclusive. Our objectives in Kiwanis say we are inclusive. And it was like, wait a minute, we've got a fissure here. What's going on? And I know Rex and I and a couple other people had some conversations. Rex, do you remember some of that?
Oh, absolutely. We talked about the survey and what was an obvious disconnect between the reality of what people, Kiwanians that were from different ethnic communities were experiencing, as opposed to your quote unquote typical Kiwanis member. And so I know in my own case, I would, when I would visit clubs in different areas, I noticed that the lack of diversity in clubs was certainly noticeable, and that the way people treated me at times were as though that I wasn't a person that was even in the room. And so that made me really uncomfortable. But the good news is that I knew that Kiwanis had a set of objects that said that we all needed to be treated fairly, as the Golden Rule states in object number 2. And so I was glad that when we had the opportunity to address this particular issue at the district level, that a committee was formed and we could have a forum to bring some very, very important clarification to things that we members of color in the Kiwanis community were experiencing.
Why is it so hard for our community? And I'm just going to use the word community in general, to accept diversity, inclusion, etc. Why are we having a problem with that these days?
Lack of education.
Well, that's a great question. And being that with my experience in the world, I'm 69 years old. The one thing that I know about people is that when you talk about change, even though change occurs all the time, that people really are not necessarily ready to deal with the dynamic societal issues that we're facing. It's easier to look away than it is to look into the mirror and see what the problem is. And so consequently, I think that it comes down to, it's like people are really resistant to change, even though it's going to occur.
So I don't know, Val and Rex, if you heard John right after I asked that question shout in the background like the voice of God back there. It boils down to education. Do you guys agree with that?
I think it's not only education, but it is experience. And so, like Rex was sharing about his experiences, we go into communities and Kiwanis all over the world, but Kiwanis clubs usually start with a bunch of people that have very similar experiences and very similar backgrounds, and then it's hard to re-educate yourself about what your community looks like and who's in your community, who the leaders are. And so that's why I think it's both of those. But Rex, you may have a different opinion from me.
Well, not necessarily so. I think that education is a huge component of helping people make the necessary changes to deal with the realities of our communities and the experiences that we have in a service organization. I love Kiwanis, and one of the reasons I love Kiwanis is that the values are there, number one, that we stand for as Americans, that, we want a more informed citizenry. We want communities to be served. We also want people to be treated fairly. We want to be inclusive. And those are values that, that attract me, because that's a society that I want to live in. And so part of the challenge of Kiwanis is that we have people from so many different backgrounds at times coming together, whether it's politically, economically, all the different social economic factors that come together, and then we have to learn how to communicate with each other to the degree that we can do our service work, and we can also make our policies such to where we can do more. But again, it comes back to, people get comfortable in their own social cliques and their own social settings. And when you introduce change, or people that look a little bit different, or maybe, it's like they don't necessarily appear to be what we consider normal, then that makes people uncomfortable, and we have to get past our uncomfortableness. And once we get past that, we find that we have more things in common, and that we certainly can address things to the point where we can come together as a family and do what we have to do to help our communities.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that really hit me hard this month, but there was a post on Facebook, and I realized when I was looking at those, there were signs that were in this post. One said, "We serve whites only," and it said 1937 was when that was posted. We blacks this way, whites that way. We don't serve Latino, or it was at that point, we don't serve Mexicans. And another one said, don't think about it if you're Asian. And the don't think about it if you're Asian was 2 years ago. And so knowing that that's out there, we have members that were part of Kiwanis, people who were serving in the 1970s and the politics, and think about the politics and everything that was going on in the 1970s. They're still dealing with some of those things and not understanding that as we change, it's not just changing in Kiwanis, it's changing in their community and in their home. And then the other part of it for me is I think sometimes we have this inherent bias. I think it's called institutional bias, where we go into a room and we automatically make assumptions about people and what their background is by how they look.
I think we're all subject to that, and I think that's where the old adage of "don't judge a book by its cover," I think really is an outdated statement, because the bottom line is this: regardless of what we see on the outside, what we have on the inside for everybody is the same. Blood is red, a heart's a heart, kidneys, we're all the same. The outer shell really shouldn't matter. It's like buying an Oreo cookie. Do you like the black and white one, or do you like the vanilla and white one, or the purple with the red? Who cares? It's all the same. So to me, maybe I'm just being too, I don't know, rose-colored glasses like when I say that, but prejudging is something that we have in our nature. John, jump in there.
And I don't remember where I picked this up, but it was some time back, and it basically, dogs and cats come in all kinds of different colors and shapes and sizes, but we see that's a dog, that's a cat.
Right.
We don't say, oh, there's a brown dog, there's a green dog, there's a yellow dog, there's
right.
a white dog, or whatever. It's
a dog.
There's a cat.
Right.
So what the hell?
Yeah. Well.
So we have the capacity to at least think like that, if we're not conditioned to think otherwise.
Right.
Never mind.
Never.
Well, I think that that's a great goal. And I say that that's a great goal. And I think that Kiwanis has a role in making that possible. Unfortunately, we all bring to the table our experiences. And like Rex had mentioned, and if he's still on the phone, because I can't see the phone connect.
No, he is.
I'm here.
It's just like walking into, as lieutenant governor, right? Walking into a club meeting and going, they don't realize I'm the lieutenant governor.
Yep.
Oh, that's very much true. One of the things, and I just wrote about that, is we have a Division 36 newsletter, and I just submitted a blog yesterday. And it was talking about how the object number 2, about treating everybody the golden rule, and that we have to get past our own biases. And it isn't like I don't have biases. All of us have biases. And one of the points that I made in my blog was that racism is a disability. It's a learned behavior. It's something that we're not born with. And so consequently, people who have it don't even think that they have this disability. And the reason I call it a disability is that it disables us to communicate with each other when we put our biases in front of people and not allow ourselves to understand that we're basically all seeking the same things. I think that when you look at what are our objectives, we want kids to do well. The things that I want in life, I wanted my son to have a great education. I wanted him to live in a nice neighborhood. I wanted them to have more opportunity than me. And if you go to any ethnic group, any person, they're basically going to agree with all of those things. Yet when we put a color or like a social economic factor in front of things, we tend to deal with our own biases, and that precludes us or excludes us from the opportunity to have empathy for each other and knowing that we're all in the same boat.
Yeah, it's this is a topic that I think eludes more than just a one hour show, because people that are supposedly much smarter, at least than me, have been trying to figure this out for more years than people care to shake a stick at. So I want to bring this a little closer home, because obviously this is a focal point, not only within our district, but as it sounds like, other districts are picking it up as well. Let's begin talking about what specifically Calneva with the DEY concept is doing in either each of these areas separately or collectively. I want to start getting into that.
Well, I'll start at the very top. And one of them was to actually have a statement out there that said our values are in support of our second object in Kiwanis. And our value is that everyone should have an opportunity to be at the table. And it spells out very clearly all the different categories that people might identify with. And for a lot of Kiwanians, it was tough to wrap their brain around this process. And I think it's because many people, when they're out in the workforce, see that it's a limited, I'll put it in this terms of a pie. We have one pie, and everybody believes that if you take away slices of that pie, then there won't be any pie left. And the more people you bring to the table, the fewer slices, or the smaller the slices are. And not realizing the more people you bring to the table, the more the diversity that you bring to the table grows that. If it's a pie, it grows it, and it makes it bigger, and it gives more opportunity to serve more kids and more opportunity to serve more people in the community. If we were all the same, then we would be completely colorblind. We would be completely economically blind. And one of the reasons Kiwanis exists is to serve our communities, to serve our kiddos.
Rex, your thoughts on that?
Well, I completely agree with Valerie on that. And, one thing that I would like to add is that when we went forward with our preamble that we wanted into our bylaws, and to impress upon the Kiwanis community how important it was, or it is, still is, for Kiwanis to embrace diversity and equity and inclusiveness, because of the fact that we want to expand membership. We want to be able to do more. But more importantly, in order to accomplish that, we have to establish in our Kiwanis community a culture. And that culture is one where when people walk in, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about the fact that they are welcome, because they are there to help children. And if we create that culture where we are accepting membership from all the different communities, whether they be the special needs community, the LGBTQ community, the different ethnic communities, and we make our clubs a welcoming environment, that we're going to be able to accomplish so much more, and it's going to be able to help us reverse this negative membership issue that we're dealing with, because we're opening the doors for more people to come and do service. So it's imperative for Kiwanis for Kiwanians to embrace this, because the very survival of Kiwanis, in my opinion, is dependent upon this, and our communities are looking to us to be the ones to lead in this particular area.
I want to mention, and again, I usually give this disclaimer at the beginning of shows, but when people see my head down, I'm not ignoring what's going on. But my phone, I don't know if you're monitoring the chat room, great comments in here that I'm trying to respond to and recognize. Leanne's comments, Yeah, I know, Ben. I'm trying to respond to him. Jennifer McCord out in Hawaii is listening. So I'm very delighted that we're getting the kinds of responses that we are. I just have it's a question of curiosity, not relating to the specific amendment that was done. But I'm curious, Val, maybe this is something that can't be divulged. How successful, or what was the margin of victory of votes for this to pass within our own district of acceptance? Was it a close vote? Was it a landslide? Yeah, I'm just curious as to how our district voted to handle this.
It was overwhelmingly positive. And some of the discussion was pretty heated as to why we shouldn't be doing this. And as a person that had to stand up at the podium, it was, I had to really take the hat completely off and just be the governor and listen without input. But some of the reasons that were given were out of fear, and fear of reverse racism, and fear of reverse sexism. And so that was one of the things that I really heard coming from the floor. But when the vote finally came down, there were probably about 24 people that voted down the resolution. There were a couple of abstentions in the room, but predominantly it was, it's about time, we're ready to go, rah, 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 two hands up kind of vote.
So I guess I kind of go back to, was it 89 when Kiwanis finally opened their eyes, right? About allowing women to come in. My wife, Eileen, was the first Kiwanis member of the Homedale Kiwanis Club that we belonged to back in that day. But really, that should have been the first accepted step of diversity and inclusion at that time. And I believe at that time, it kind of was thought that way. But now, because of the political landscape in our society, that wasn't, that in Kiwanis, obviously that was not enough, and nor should it be when we did that in the late 80s. Now it's time that people have to recognize that today's society is filled with wonderful people, and everybody should be included. What goes on in somebody's house should not be an effect on what is done in the public in terms of helping support our community. I don't know.
You know, there's an outreach out there of all the clubs going, we want younger members. Mm-hmm. We want millennials. We want the Gen Zs. We want this. We want that. But not understanding that the culture for a Gen Z or a millennial is full on inclusion. From the moment they step into the workplace, there is an expectation of inclusion. And this little girl posted this on Facebook, because I lurk on Facebook all the time.
You're a stalker.
I comment too. But she put out there that diversity is inviting people to the dance, and inclusion is making sure everybody dances. And so that's how I've been, because Leanne talked about it needs to start from the top, and we need to work with people at the top. When I was the formula chair, I made it really, really clear that as we're building new clubs, we need to be extremely inclusive. We need to look at the needs of the community and what's going on for our kiddos, and focus our intentions on what's needed. And so we've started the very first LGBTQ support club in all of the Kiwanis world, and people were up in arms. It took us 6 months to get that club started and get the naming correct, and correct by Kiwanis International's terms, because they felt that it would be exclusive. And I was like, this is where the institutional bias kicks in, because we never started with, we want to get a bunch of LGBTQ family together to be able to go and be Kiwanians. It's like, we have a wonderful plethora, right? Is that the word? Plethora?
That's the word.
Of people from our LGBTQ family. But what we're talking about is the kiddos.
Yeah.
We're talking about the kids. And so when we were talking about this club, there were several kiddos that had formed a pack that they were going to go home and tell their family about who they were. And if they weren't accepted, then they would commit suicide. And they did it over the winter break. And 4 of those kids successfully committed suicide before they got to come back. And people in that community, in that area, realized those kiddos needed a little extra. They needed the Kiwanis love. And that's how the LGBTQ club came about, is what do our kiddos need? And they need people who are understanding, that can empower them and give them the services that they need.
Yep.
You know, and that's what we need to do from the top, is look at what do our communities need? What do our communities look like? How do we bring folks together so that the kiddos see and feel that they are welcome, so they'll want to serve later on.
Funny thing is, you just said about everything about how we start the structure of a Kiwanis club. We look at the community, we look at what's needed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We just did all that with the downtown Kiwanis club. What's in the community? What do we need? Who are we going to bring together? And so everything you just talked about, why does it have to be something special? Because of people out there who don't understand the need for diversity, equality, and inclusion. Why do we have to do that? We're saying the same thing. And because of that blindness, the LGBT community plus club, as you just described, had to step out on its own because they were not getting the support that they needed from a community, Kiwanis, that is supposed to support what's in their community. Am I missing something here in this loop of what is wrong with this picture, and why we have to go out of the box of normalcy that we have within Kiwanis to do something like that? It makes no sense to me.
Help me out, Rex.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, I'm listening to the dialogue that's going on, and it's really hitting the nail on the head insofar as what we're dealing with as a Kiwanis community. And it goes back to one thing that was earlier said, John, that you mentioned, is it about education? And in many ways, it is about education. One of the beautiful things that's happened over the last several district and mid-year conventions is that we've had a DEI table set up for members to come and be able to learn more and be able to question and experience from the DEI community the opportunity to find out what is needed to be able to advance these initiatives. And then in the learning process of being there, listening to members coming up and telling us about what they're dealing with these DEI issues, particularly with LGBTQ, they're telling us that they're lacking the support and the tools to be able to advance themselves to the point where they can be effective in their communities. So educating people, giving people the tools, the clubs the tools to do the community surveys, to recognize, how to go in. I had a real interesting conversation with a lady who said, we want more Black members in our club. How do I go about doing that? And I just happened to tell her, I said, look, it's not like you got to check off widgets and boxes. We need a Black member, whatnot. What you have to do is you have to go into that community, go to find out which organizations in the Black community are doing things for children. Go to the churches and say, hey, look, we as Kiwanians are interested, and we know that the children in this community need services, and we want to be a part of that. And when you have a function, can you invite us to come and do this service with you? And when those communities see that Kiwanis is interested, truly interested in what's happening in that community, those people will come and join Kiwanis because they'll see that we have something in common and we can do things greatly together. But they're not just going to walk through the door. So what we're finding at the conventions when we're talking to members is that they really don't know how to address these things. And one of the missions that we have in the DEI community is the education and giving people the tools. And we'll be advancing those things, and we're currently helping by providing materials and speakers and bringing the topic up and supporting the people who are looking for this particular help.
Val, can you? I'm going to be ignorant here. I'm sure you see the current comment that's up on the screen from. I know from YouTube. Who is the District 7 Lieutenant Governor? Who are we talking to there?
I think we're talking to my brother Dave Arnold.
Oh, okay, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus. And
Okay.
and Dave and I actually had this conversation last night. and it true, and what he is saying is true. In the political landscape, especially in North America, it's that when you use the word diversity, it's the multi-letter D word, where people just say, not dealing with that. We dealt with that in the 80s and 90s. And the equity word has been thrown around a lot because equity has political impact. And so that's why we have started with the inclusion part. But you do DEI altogether because in the world outside of Kiwanis, it's bundled.
Can we just stop on that note? I need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to tie all this up as much, this might be a multiple show topic as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, it definitely is. Definitely.
Because, it's a lifetime thing, absolutely. But for right now, think of that blooming onion at Outback. You got to keep peeling it, right? You're going to peel that sucker forever, and that's what we need to do. Sorry, John. You're watching Kiwanis Connects. We're going to continue this conversation, and of course, the ever popular bad dad jokes to send us out on a Friday. You're watching Val, myself, and our guest, District Trustee Rex. Don't go anywhere. More to come. We'll be right back. The Kiwanis Club of Folsom Lake is a group of fun, passionate people from all different backgrounds and interests who are dedicated about making our community a better place for children. We have 3 fundraising events throughout the year which allow us to support an after-school program for disadvantaged kids, high school scholarships, sponsors Key Club in high schools, and supports the Kiwanis Family House, which builds a supportive, healing community around families who are impacted by medical emergencies. Come check us out by visiting our website, www.folsomlakekiwanis.org. The Granville Allied Gardens Kiwanis Club was founded in 1960. We provide service to Allied Gardens, Granville, San Carlos, Del Cerro, and surrounding communities of San Diego. Our support extends to the youth of our community by sponsoring programs at Hearst Elementary School K-Kids, Lewis Middle School's Builders Club, Patrick Henry High School's Key Club, and San Diego State University Circle K. Some of our favorite events and charities we support include the First Friday Concerts in the Park, Patriotic Holiday Flags on Waring Road, Meals on Wheels, Cub Scouts, and the Allied Gardens Little League. Join our club. We are looking for people who care about making a difference for our children, for our community, and for our world. For more information about our Kiwanis Club and becoming a member, please visit www.alliedgardenskiwanis.org. All right, welcome back. We're coming around the clubhouse turn here today on Kiwanis Connects. Our special guest is District Trustee Rex. We don't see him, but we do hear him because he's on the phone with us. And of course, Doc Val is here. So Rex, there's no way you can really put a neat bow on this conversation. I want to just kind of tie this up a little bit for this conversation as we get ready to wrap things up. But first, John is raising his hand, or he has stinky armpits. I'm not sure.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I do have a quote that will put a nice bow on it.
All right.
Do the best you can until you can do better, and then do better. And I'm pretty sure that was Maya Angelou.
There you have it. Mic drop. All right, Rex, if you would, please.
Don't.
No,
They're delicate.
they're not. Rex, give us some final thoughts on this for this show about the importance of what we're doing now in Kiwanis to really open up people's eyes to this.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate your efforts and Dr. Val's efforts, to advance this cause of diversity and inclusiveness and equity in Kiwanis, because again, it's going to allow us to do more service, and that's what we're all about. We're a service organization helping kids, and by opening the doors and making sure that our members are equipped to be able to understand their communities better and go out and attract new members so we can do more service, and also identify the particular issues that marginalized kids are dealing with, particularly in the LGBTQ community and also in many ethnic communities. The kids need what Kiwanis can do. And so if we're better educated and we're a welcoming, inclusive environment, and we have the culture that we need, we're not going to have trouble attracting members to carry out this service. We're all going to have a much better time, with this fellowship, because this is one of the most precious fellowships in all of America. I love Kiwanis and what we do, and we're going to carry this mission on. The train is rolling, and I'm glad that we have the support of people like Val and you, and I thank you for the opportunity to be on to discuss this. And anybody who wants to reach out to me, hey, Rex Ramsey, it's REXIER@yahoo.com. You can find me in the district directory. I'll be more than happy to help your club, understand these issues better, and we'll help you get equipped to be the club that you want to be.
Sometimes you just don't need to follow up certain things. But we have, I'm going to botch this. Clody, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Clody says, in addition to what Rex said, just be reminded of the first object of Kiwanis. Membership is for everyone who has the time and willingness to serve the community, particularly through its children.
Well said, Clody.
And that is amazing. So Miss Clody, will be seeing you soon. And one of the things that, and Clody was part of my membership team when we did the formula. And this is the part I hope people will take away is don't prejudge who will be interested in Kiwanis. Don't think about, oh, they can't afford it, or, oh, they already belong to multiple organizations, so they're busy over there in their sorority fraternity organization. Oh, we don't have any people that look like them. They may not feel comfortable in our organization. Oh, they don't have kids in our school district. And these are all different quotes that I've heard when trying to train a team to go out into the community and invite the people that are there. It's kind of like when women were first involved. People are like, women don't want to be doing this. This is where the guys all hang out. No, we all want to serve our community. We all have a vested interest in our kiddos and our community being successful. And so don't prejudge. You ask. And I realize that for most people, they put it down to a financial thing. And I got to tell you, I don't buy, people can't afford it. And the reality is because most clubs make it possible to do payment plans and all kinds of things. But the reality is, they're too old to join. Kathy Szymanski, one of my favorite international trustees. Yeah, I've heard that one too. And the reality is that those of us that are now getting senior discounts and senior lunches have more time than anybody else out there. And so absolutely. But the reality is people put their resources into things that are important to them. And we go back to the Swiftie community. It's like you think about how much it costs to go to a Taylor Swift concert, how much it costs for people to throw a Super Bowl party. And I looked at, the number of people that went out and threw a Super Bowl party, and they said the average Super Bowl party cost $540 for someone to host people to come to their house. You think about what $540 would have done going towards dues and helping the community. It's mind-blowing.
Value for people is placed on themselves. What they find valuable for them, like spending $550 on a Super Bowl party versus what others perceive to be of value, is always going to be an interesting discussion. Mm-hmm. Money is always a great scapegoat for people not wanting to do things. But if people do want to if people do want to do something bad enough, they will find the resources to do what they choose to do for themselves. Again, I'm looking forward to continuing this discussion. One thing about Kiwanis Connects, folks, if you haven't been following the purpose of this show, yeah, we talk about what's going on in other clubs and everything else, but This is an educational show. This is where we have a platform where we can share this stuff and educate not only our members, but as you see, we have folks from the Philippines, we have people from all over the world, governors from all over the world tune into this show to hear what we've got going on. And that's what I love about what we do, is because we're educating not only our Kiwanis family, but families out there, the community families in general. And people who are looking to build clubs and want to know what Kiwanis does, you all should be sending snippets of these shows. Plain and simple. Here's what we do. Here's what we talk about. Here's what's important. Here's why, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Val, you and I did a show how long ago about branding? Well, folks, this show is branding Kiwanis and the importance of what we do within anybody's community, regardless of situations. Okay? And so this is just another example of how important diversity is within the Kiwanis world, because it's something that people are doing this see no evil monkey look in the communities, and we need to change that. I'm sorry, I'm going to get off my soapbox because you only have a few minutes left.
Well, Herm put in the chat, and so if you don't, you're listening to this in your car and you're thinking about, I don't have time to be a Kiwanian, but I want to help. Even as Herman put in there, for $2.25, you can help a child, and somewhere in the community and somewhere in the world. And so Kiwanis International has, yes, that's a shameless plug, and we're going to take it for what it is. But Kiwanis International has the Children's Fund, where monies are spread throughout the world to support Kiwanis clubs doing good things for other kids. So if you have a lot of money, hey, Taylor, if you have a lot of money, call us in, send it in.
Yep.
We'll use it well for kids. We promise.
Yep, for sure. All right, we're up against it. Val, do you have anything for Val on the road real quickly? Where are you going to be?
I actually do. And so
right.
Two things.
John, what? Rex still had it. I hope Rex, I hope you had a visual of what we just did.
Yes, I'm watching.
Okay, good. All right. Go ahead, Val.
The California Higher Education Commission has put together a basic needs conference. And so it's happening in Sacramento next week. And so they're talking about all the amazing things that Kiwanians do in the background. So if you have a chance to support your CKI members in attending, your Circle K members would love to. Community college, four-year universities, the CSU, and the UC system are all being invited to talk about the basic needs for college students. And so just want you to know about that. And it's in Sacramento. I'm on the wait list. Is anybody out there? Get me off the wait list. I can be in Sacramento. And then I will be in Turlock next week, because we were doing a leadership conference for college students. As you guys all know, that is a lot of where my heart is. And so we're going to be talking about some of these issues right there with the students. And I don't want to slow down bad dad jokes, because I know we can go a little over. You can edit out the beginning part of the show. But most people here aren't here to see me. They loved seeing Rex, but it's about the bad dad jokes. I've come to understand that.
I got to ask, is Andy listening? He's number one. He's the number one fan. So, all right. I don't know how I can live up to that high bar standard now. Wow. All right. Well, here you go. You asked for it. If John doesn't like it, it's your all's fault for that. All right, here we go. Number one. What did one monocle say to the other monocle? Let's meet up and make a spectacle of ourselves. Number one. All right. I just lost Val. I should end right there before I got. All right, here we go. Number two. What animal is the worst at hide and seek? A leopard, because it's always spotted.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, that one sucked. What does garlic do before it showers? Takes its clothes off.
Oh.
And Andy is listening.
All right. He hasn't told me to stop.
Groaning in the
I was
background.
going to say, he didn't tell me to stop. He's my number one fan, although Dave Arnold asked for him through YouTube. All right, I got two more. Since we made John hungry and I just did one kind of food joke, with the garlic. Two more, and then we'll end it, thankfully. Whenever I try to eat healthy, a chocolate bar looks at me and snickers.
Oh, God.
Last one, ladies and germs.
Thank God.
I just read them. I did not write them, but so I got Val on two of these. Okay, let the record show I lost Val on two of these. All right, last one. What's a robot's favorite snack? Computer chips.
Oh, God.
Oh man.
That was actually pretty good.
Was
All
that
right,
with
let me go back to the
guacamole or ranch?
what?
Andy said great one on that.
Thank you, Andy. All right, I knew somebody would appreciate that one. All right, that's gonna.
I'm beginning to wonder about Andy.
I know we have to. Question Andy. Well, listen, he married Val, so we can't. He did a great job there. That's for sure. Or Val accepted his proposal. I'm not sure which way you want to work at it. Rex, thank you so very much for coming on and spending time with us. I have a funny feeling we'll do this again soon.
I hope so, and thank you very much, and love to you, and let's keep this so beautiful Hana going.
Absolutely, and thank you for putting up with my bad dad jokes. Val, final thoughts as we say goodbye, real quickly.
You know, this is something that's going to carry on throughout the rest of the month because we've got some students out there that really need Kiwanis to be the adults out there to talk about these topics and help them out. And so one of the questions that was sent to me was, we really need to talk about the fact that we have a number of students that identify as being Asian, and they're dealing with something on their college, their campuses, both college and high school, and dealing with Asian hate. And so we really want to talk about how Kiwanians can help with that, because if our students are looking up to us, then we should have the tools to be able to help them. And I know that every last one of the people that's watching wants to help and has been helping. So.
Yeah, and that unfortunately started, if memory serves, when COVID started coming to the U.S., when origins thought it came from China. And so the Asian community got blamed for that. All right, real quickly, programming note at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock. Mary McElhatton will be here with a fresh new show for Permission Mission, the show that really gives you permission to talk about mortality. It's okay to talk about it, deal with it, and accept it. So tune in for that. As always, be kind to everybody. Why? Because we're all we have. We'll see you next week right here on Kiwanis Connects. Thank you, everybody, for watching.